when most people come to college, they come from very ordinary circumstances. Most of the people who go to college in the United States do. And their idea of success is a bourgeois occupation and a bourgeois life and a bourgeois three-car garage and bourgeois all the way. They haven't heard that it's bad yet. And then their professors and the journalists start telling them, and the filmmakers and the novelists start telling them, what's his name just died a couple of weeks ago? Who?
Updike?
Yeah, John Updike. You know, he was not the worst, but he just felt that being middle class in Pennsylvania was really nasty. And he told everyone this, and they read his novels, and they go, oh yeah, you're right. God, I feel so guilty about being bourgeois. And I want that all to stop. Of course, you know, I'm just a college professor. I'm not going to stop it, even with this big project of mine. The people who can really stop it are the artists. The artists, I don't just mean the high-flown people. I mean the country musicians. I mean the bluegrass musicians. I mean the rock musicians. I mean the movie producers. I mean the advertising people. Those are the people in our culture who do our thinking for us. Not thinking exactly, God knows that's not true. Not thinking, but envisaging. The world that's envisioned, that's the word, by Star Wars, for example, is a particular kind of aristocratic society. That's held up for admiration. And the bourgeois parts of it, Han Solo and his market-corrupted friends, are the bad side. Not the bad side. The Force, they're not even in the Force game. They don't even know about the Force. They're just in it for the dollar, or however, I forget what the currency is in Star Wars. Okay, so that's my kind of, that's what I'm on about. That's my purpose. As I said, it's kind of odd for an economist to, on top of everything else, I'm going to join the psychology department. I'm going to become a therapist. It's kind of insane, but that's what I'm trying to do. And my hope is to persuade the artists to change their take on capitalism. How many people here have seen the movie Wall Street? Put your hands up. I just need a survey. Well, again, I see lots of the young people haven't seen it, and you should. It's an excellent film. But it's really hostile to the world of finance capitalism. Now, we've just gone through a period, which will continue for another 6 months or so, in which finance capitalism is in really bad, has a bad reputation. So this is a good time to go see Wall Street. But it's wrong. That's my key point. Marx was wrong. Carlyle was wrong. Dickens was wrong. The muckrakers at the end of the 19th century, early 20th century, they were wrong. The artists and the intellectuals who since 1848, which is a very special date in world history, since 1848 have turned against the bourgeoisie and said, the bourgeoisie was once the party of freedom, now it's just a bunch of capitalist, bad, profit-making people, naughty, naughty, naughty. What are you after profits for? That's terrible. These people, I say, are mistaken. And they're my good friends. So I don't want to just sneer at them. I want to persuade them. Sweet talk, as I call it. I want to charm them into seeing that they're mistaken. All right. So the first book of this, as I say, I've been thinking about this for 18 years. And this first book came out from the University of Chicago Press in 2006. It's called The Bourgeois Virtues, Ethics for an Age of Commerce. And what this book asks is, can you be a capitalist and a good person at the same time? Or is being involved in capitalism just hopelessly corrupting. Now, many of my intellectual friends, who in an old phrase have never met a payroll, believe that's true, that it is corrupting to be part of the profit-making sector of the economy. And what this is an attempt to get serious about economic ethics. I mean, usually the way economic ethics is done is very peculiar. For example, the way ethics is taught in business schools in the United States is very peculiar indeed. Because you're taught in a business school course to be ethical. Why should you be ethical? Because it's profitable. Now wait a second. I thought this was a course in ethics. If it's a course in human relations, then I'm interested to know that being kindly to your employees will make more dough. That's something someone ought to learn, if it's true, in a course on human relations, hiring and firing in a business school. But it's not true. You treat your employees well because you're an ethical person, because you're that kind of human being. That's why you treat them well. Not because the bottom line will be improved. I suppose it's all right if the bottom line is improved, and that what's doing well by doing good, that's all right, except it's not doing good if it's doing well. That is, to be more exact, it's not the only quality of goodness that it makes you rich. It's not, doesn't foreclose being rich. That is, goodness isn't inconsistent with being rich, but it's not the main reason to be a virtuous person. So what this is a serious ethics. And, you know, it's a big long book. It's 500 pages of text. Lots of people complain about the length of the book, but I don't understand that because the Bible is long, and this is the Bible of the new dispensation for the bourgeoisie. This is one way to get out of this self-hatred that the bourgeoisie have. Now, this book is available for sale outside, and I'll be glad to sign it afterwards. And I'm going to pass around a couple of copies. Although I'm a little cautious about this, because I did this in a small meeting of Presbyterians. I'm an Episcopalian, but I was talking to these Episcopalians, a church group, about, actually it was, it's worse. It was a national conference, a small conference of Presbyterians talking about ethics. And I sent out 2 copies. And at the end of my talk, I said, I'd like my copies back. And reluctantly, one came back. And it was a small group. It was much smaller than this group. And I said, I need the other copy. And there was silence. The Presbyterians stole my book. I suppose it's the Lord's will. I mean, it's the Lord's work that whoever stole it, I'm sure they used it for, I don't know what. Well, anyway, I was quite disappointed by the Presbyterians. I hope you'll exceed, as most of you are Baptists, I'll bet. I hope you'll exceed the ethical standing, at least, of the Presbyterians and send back both books. They are for sale, and they aren't that expensive in paperback. But that's only step 1. What this book does is sort of clear the philosophical ground of my argument. Then the rest of the project is to tell a story. And the story goes like this. Volume 2 is called Bourgeois Dignity. Bourgeois Dignity. Why economics doesn't explain the modern world. Why economics doesn't explain